What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. And today, well, a lot of you guys have been asking me, how do I think, or like, what's my thought process when I'm deciding on if a sneaker is a good investment or not. So this video is basically going to answer all of those questions, so let's get right into it. So if you guys do enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe down below. If you're new, maybe leave a comment down below. Everything helps. I respond to all the comments. If ever you have any questions regarding investments, sneakers, basically anything in general, I'll do my best to help. Now let's get on with the video. So the first thing I take into consideration when I'm deciding on if a sneaker is a good or a bad investment is the consumer sentiment. Now, emotions play a big part in making investments. It's just a whole universal thing when investing in anything, whether it be stocks or like other items like collectibles, and especially sneakers. How does the consumer or the customer market think or feel about a certain sneaker release? Do they think that it's super popping, or do they think that, you know, it's basically like trash? For example, over 5 million people signed up to enter the raffle to purchase the Air Jordan 1 Dior at a retail price of $2,000. Keep in mind they only made 8,500 pairs of the highs and 4,700 pairs of the lows. So that in its own right is a super huge example of consumer sentiment. 5 million people is a lot of people entering to just cop a pair of Air Diors. So if you guys didn't know, consumer sentiment is basically how the consumer market feels about a certain release. Like, you know, whether it be anything in general, any sort of item that's made for the consumers by the producers. So that wraps up tip number one. And yes, that wallpaper in the background was not full screen, so sorry about that. Like, the second step is considering the buy-in and return on investment when you decide to sell. Just like stocks, the percentage increase is marginally more important than how valuable or how much the stock is actually worth. If the buy-in price is around $800, but then they increase annually by 10%, that's not really a good investment, is it? But buying a sneaker worth $250, but them seeing an increase of about 30 to 60% over a course of 6 months, that is infinitely a better investment than just something that's cost a lot of money. For one thing, the buy-in cost is super cheap when compared to buying something that costs $800, so that leaves room for if ever you want to, you know, spend more money in bulk buying those sneakers just to maximize your profit and return on investment. And secondly, the percentage growth increase is just exponentially better than just buying something that increases by like 10%. But yeah, the return on investment is super important when you're considering what sneakers are good for an investment, because the higher percentages grant you and yield you a higher profit. Step number 3 to consider is basically, are there any other factors or variables that can contribute or affect the market prices of the sneaker in both the long and the short term? The value of a sneaker thrives and suffers in direct proportion to factors and variables. Just like how the Last Dance documentary saw like tons of retro Air Jordan sneakers, like from Air Jordan 1s to Air Jordan 13s, they all saw a huge increase in price, especially the Rookie of the Year Air Jordan 1s. Those are now going for insane numbers when originally they were only going for around like what, $400. They're right now around $800. And also like announcements, just like the Into the Spider-Verse 2 movie, when that was announced, as soon as that movie was announced, the origin story Air Jordan 1 just saw a huge increase and now doubled just after 4 months of the date of the announcement. Or maybe just like how influencers like Travis Scott wearing the Nike SB Dunks, those affected the market heavily, and now the SB Dunks are amongst grails to most people. A couple colorways, I can't name them off of my head. There were stories of them hitting the outlets a couple years ago, but then now people are considering them grails. Like, think about it. They costed like $60 at the outlets before, and then now they're reaching like $600. So those outside forces can heavily affect the value of the sneaker in the long and short terms. Retention value is also super important when considering if a sneaker is a good or a bad investment, because if you think about it, the Yeezy 350 V2 in its prime 2017 era, those were reaching insanely high numbers, like in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range. But as of right now, the retention value for sneakers such as like the Yeezy 350 V2 in the zebra colorway, those are reaching like 2,000 Australian dollars. Now they're going for around 600. So the retention value was not there, whereas compared to an Air Jordan 1 release, like say the Breads or the Shadows or the Royals from 2013, they have still kept their value, and then they're just seeing a steady increase from like 7 years ago. That to me is comparable to, say, the stock market with like an ETF, such as like the S&P 500. They might not have huge spikes over the years, but over the course of like 20 to 30 years, they have constantly stayed up and very rarely go down. I think one of the only times they go down is in extreme recessions, as example of what we've seen in like March or something. So yeah, that is just a super good investment to like put your money towards, something with good retention value if you want to have those safe investments. So yeah, that basically wraps up my video. That's my thought process of how I decide on if a sneaker is a good or bad investment, because I basically reviewed a lot of sneakers in my time, and then you just sort of see those things. So like, if you guys keep practicing, keep like, you know, being attentive in the market, you know, knowing about all those news things, it's just intuition when you get to that point. So I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. If you did find value in this video, please remember to like and subscribe down below. It really does help the channel a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.